Today's daf is Masechta Shavuos Daf Chav Zayin. We're going to begin from the top of the page on Daf Chav Zayin Amar Aleph. The Mishnah says the Mishnah Nishba levatel a mitzvah. A person swears that he's going to refrain from doing a mitzvah. For example, he says he's not going to sit in a sukkah, he's not going to put on tefillin. So v'loy bittel, and he did not refrain from doing the mitzvah. He actually put on the tefillin. He actually sat in the sukkah. So he violated his oath. Potter, he's exempt from the violation of the oath because the oath didn't take effect. Because you can't make such a shvuah that you're not going to put on tefillin because you already swore that you will put on tefillin. You're already a Jew. You have the chiyuv to sit in the sukkah and put on tefillin. So the shvuah was not effective. The same thing goes in the reverse. L'kayim v'lo'kiyim. If he swears that he's going to keep a mitzvah, he says, "I swear I'm going to put on tefillin." Or I'm going to swear I'm going to sit in the sukkah. And then he did not sit in the sukkah and did not put on tefillin. So Potter, he's exempt. Why is he exempt? Simple, because he's already has a shvuah that he's going to keep the mitzvahs. So now that he's swearing another shvuah that he's going to keep the mitzvah, so we have a din, ein shvuah chal shvuah. Once you have one shvuah, you can't make a second shvuah on top of the first shvuah because you have already a shvuah in place. So how you bedin, sheikhayev, because really, if you think about it, the Gemara says that you would have been liable for violating the shvuah to keep a mitzvah. Kediver Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira, like the words of Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira, because the Omer Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira said he thinks that if you swear to Mekayim a mitzvah, the shvuah takes effect, even though you have a shvuah already from a Har Sinai that you're going to do the mitzvah. So he thinks that if you swear you're going to put on tefillin, it's an effective shvuah. Because an optional thing that you're not sworn on Har Sinai to do. Let's say a shvuah that you're going to eat a piece of cake. So you're not sworn by Har Sinai to eat that piece of cake, and you take a shvuah, and so that's an effective oath. And you're liable if you violate that oath. Mitzvah, a swearing about a mitzvah, you already swore in Har Sinai that you're going to do the mitzvah. So mitzvah, if it ain't din sheikhayev allow. So certainly you should be obligated and in violation of that oath. That means that oath should be effective. So if, in other words, Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira's comparison is if by a dvar reshus you are a dvar reshus, you have a chiyuv to do the mitzvah. The oath takes effect. So also by a mitzvah, the oath should take effect. So if by reshus, so also by a mitzvah. Amur loy, so they said to him, loy, it's not true. If you talk about an optional oath, let's say to eat a piece of cake, shekain also by lav kain, because you can go in the reverse. You can say, I will swear I'm not going to eat this piece of cake. And so therefore, if you swear that you're going to eat the piece of cake, it's a valid oath. Time of b'shvuah, mitzvah, but a shvuah regarding a mitzvah, you have no choice in the matter. You can't say, I swear I'm not going to put on tefillin. You already swore that you will put on tefillin. If you swear that you're going to refrain from doing that mitzvah, potter, and you didn't refrain from doing that mitzvah, potter, because that oath has no effect. Because you can't swear that you're going to refrain from doing a mitzvah. So therefore, since it can't be in the positive and in the negative, since it can't be in the negative, so it can't be in the positive. So that's why Shavuos mitzvah, according to the Chachamim, does not have any effect. Says the Gemara, Tan Rabban, the rabbis taught, Yochol nishba levatas mitzvah lebitul yechayiv. I swear, I would have thought that if you swore to refrain from doing a mitzvah, again, you refrain from putting on tefillin, and you did not refrain, I would think that you have a valid oath, and you're liable for that oath. So, Talmud Loima, the pasuk says, Lahara Eilahetif. If you look at the psukim, let's read the psukim inside. Oy nefesh kishishava levate susaim. As you can see, a person swears by expressing in his lips lahara, he's going to do bad. Okay, we don't know what that is, or lahativ, or to do good. So there's like the juxtaposition between the two shvuos. Either you swore to do bad, or you swore to do good. Now, swearing to do bad means I swear I'm not going to do a mitzvah. But then again, the oilahativ means you swear you're going to do a mitzvah. So then that maybe that's what the pasuk is talking about. So the Gemara says no. Ma hatav reshus. The doing good has to be an optional. It has to be something that's optional. Like That's what the shvu is about. Afhora'ah, when the Torah tells you that if you swear to do bad, it means something that's optional. Oitzi nishba levatos mitzvah. I'm going to exclude the concept of swearing to refrain from doing a mitzvah, like bittul, and you didn't refrain. So you swore you're going to do something bad by refraining to do a mitzvah, right? That's not included in the word shu potter. That's potter because that's not what the Torah meant, lahara, to do bad. Lahara means to do bad, means you swear you're not going to eat, but not if you swear I'm not going to refrain to do a mitzvah, because the word hatava means mitzvah. Now the Gemara didn't explain how it means rishus. How did the Gemara didn't explain how hatava means rishus? But now the Gemara goes in the reverse. Maybe I would have thought that the word lehetiv means I swear I'm going to do a mitzvah. I swear I'm going to put on tefillin. How do you know that that's not what the Torah is talking about? Talmud Loima, the Torah says the opposite. Lahara lehetiv. You juxtapose. Lehetiv has to be very similar to what lahara is talking about. And we just established mahara rishus, just like the bad is an optional matter. Afatava, when the Torah speaks about that you're going to do good, it's rishus, an optional thing. Like you swear I'm going to eat something. Oitzi, I'm going to exclude nishba l'kaimus mitzvah l'kiyam shupata. That if someone swears that I'm going to keep a mitzvah and did not keep the mitzvah, that's not hatava. That's not what the hatava that the Chumash is talking about. Shupata, you're not liable for that such an oath because it doesn't take effect. Well, the Gemara didn't really, the Brisa didn't explain. The Brisa always understood that the opposite must be talking about rishus, so this one talks about rishus, but you don't see a clear indication either way. But the Gemara is going to explain that in a minute. The Gemara is going to explain this brisa. Yachal, now the Gemara just says another thing. Yachal nishba lohara atzma v'lehera. Bike swears that he's going to do something bad to himself, and he didn't do bad to himself. Let's say he swears he's not going to eat. He's going to make a fast. So, and he didn't do the fast. Yachli pata. Maybe I'd say you're not liable because you swear you're not going to you're doing something bad to yourself. Talmud loymer lahara lehetev. That's what lahara lehetev means. You swear I'm not going to eat, to do bad. Mahatava rishus, just like hatava means you're going to do something optional like eating and doing good for yourself. Afhara or rishus. So lahara means that you're doing something bad, which is something optional. So avi, I will include nishba lahara la'atma. If you swear that you're going to do bad to yourself, loyhera, and you didn't do bad, sharasus biyadai, that's optional, and because of that, it's rishus. Because it's an optional type of shvuah, so then it takes effect. So if a person swears, I'm not going to eat for a full day, so that's what lahara means. And therefore, that's an effective shvuah. But the Brisa just compares. What happens if I swear I'm going to hit somebody? I'm going to knock his head off. Let's say I swear that I'm going to do bad to somebody else, and I didn't do bad to somebody else, I would think that's an effective shvuah, and I didn't do bad. I didn't follow through on my swear. How do I know? Just like to do good, it has to be something optional which you're allowed to do. So also when you claim to do bad, the shvuah oath has to be something you're allowed to do. It's optional to do. So, I will exclude you swearing to do bad to other people. You have no permission to do something. You have no permission to do bad to somebody else. You can't just say, I'm going to hit somebody or crack his skull open, as the Gemara is going to explain in a minute. Since you cannot swear that way, it doesn't take effect. But now, Menayin Larabas, and here comes the Chiddush. Mayin Larabas Hatavas L'cher. Let's say I swear I'm going to give somebody money, right? I'm going to give somebody a gift, a guy who can benefit from the gift, right? How do you know that shvuah is effective? And the question is, since I can't swear I'm going to, the same person, I can't say I'm going to smack him. The shvuah is not effective. So also, I would think that you're not allowed to swear that the shvuah that you're going to swear that you will do good to somebody is also not effective. Why? Why? Because in order to be in the parsha of shvuah, there has to be the ability to go yes and to go no. You go in the positive and the negative. Like you swear you're going to eat a piece of cake, and you could swear you're not going to eat this piece of cake. However, I cannot swear in the negative that I'm going to hit somebody. So therefore, I would think that if I swear that I'm going to give him a gift, the shvuah is not effective. Talmud loima, oy lehetiv. Oy, the extra word oy says you're doing good. It's marba. even hativ la'acherim, even though it's not the positive, you can't do it in the positive or the negative. And now the Brisa explains ve'ezehi acharayis acherem, what is called doing bad for somebody else. Akes ploini, I'm going to hit so and so. The efses moichin, I'm going to crack his head open. I don't know why the Gemara gives such a graphic for acharayis acherem, but that's what doing bad to somebody else is. Now the Gemara talks about this Brisa. The Brisa always assumes that the hora lehetiv, that it's written in this pasuk, lahora or lehetiv, is definitely not talking about a mitzvah. It's only talking about a devar rishus. How do you know that? I mean, you're always comparing the hora to the hetiv and the hetiv to the hora, but how do you know? So umamai. So that's what Gemara says. And then the Gemara is going to come up with some convoluted reasoning, and then the Gemara is going to get to the bottom line. How do you know the pasuk is talking about a devar rishus? Dilma, maybe b'devar mitzvah. Maybe the Torah is talking about a devar mitzvah. How do you know? And says the Gemara, maybe the pasuk is talking about a devar mitzvah, and also a devar mitzvah. I mean, lahara lahetiv means could be both. I'm going to do bad, not going to eat a piece of cake, or I'm going to do bad and I'm not putting on tefillin. Or lahetiv means I'm doing good, means I'm going to eat a piece of cake, or I'm going to eat matzah on Pesach. How do you know it doesn't include mitzvahs in that pasuk? So the Gemara says like this: I couldn't have such an havana. Since the Torah compares hatava to hara, v'hara duma the hatava, and bad has to be compared to good. Now, the akash hara lahatava, I have to say hara, bad is like good. Doing good is not saying that, let's say, I'm going to eat on Yom Kippur, right? Because you might say, oh, that I'm going to eat on Yom Kippur, that's a good thing, but you're doing something bad for yourself because you're going to get punished in the next world. So Hatava definitely is not talking about refraining from a mitzvah. So therefore, hara also has to be af hara ain't a bit mitzvah. So also doing bad, it cannot be talking about you're refraining, you're doing bad. Let's say you swear, I'm not going to eat matzah, right? So if you swear you're not going to eat matzah, you're violating the mitzvah of matzah. So it cannot be talking about that. Cannot be talking about that kind of a bittul mitzvah. So just like hatava is not a bittul mitzvah, so also hara is not a bittul mitzvah. And hara gufa hatavi. So then what is bad? If it's talking about a mitzvah, you swear that I'm not going to eat chametz on Pesach. Okay, so that's you're saying the bad. I'm not going to eat chametz, but that's doing good for your soul. So then the ra becomes hatava. Then the bad becomes good. So then they're one of the same. Bad is good. So don't say lahara, just say hatava. And then the Gemara says like this: and then you compare the opposite. Hatava is like bad. Mahara ain't a bekiya mitzvah. Just like hara doesn't mean is not talking about a kiyam and mitzvah. For example, you swear that you're not going to eat chametz on Pesach because that's doing good for your soul. So af hatava, so it must be bad that you must be swearing that I'm not going to eat a piece of cake. Af hatava, so also good, ain't a b'kiyah mitzvah. It's not like you swear you're going to eat matzah on Pesach. It can't be talking about a kiyah mitzvah. So if it can't be talking about a kiyah mitzvah, so b'hatava gufa hara. So what is good? What is good? You swear you're going to eat on, if it's talking about a mitzvah, then you swear you're going to eat on Yom Kippur. Well, then you're doing bad to yourself because you're doing bad to your soul. So then why does the Torah say hatava? It just should say hara because hatava is equal to hara. So the Gemara, by this kind of logic, concluded that hatava in the pasuk and hara in the pasuk, the bad and the good, cannot be talking about a mitzvah. So the Gemara says, if you're going with that kind of logic, if so, b'dvar rishus nami lo mishkachas lo. You can't find it, even if it talks about a rishus, even if it's talking about an optional, you could also ask the same question. You can compare hara to hatava. Mahat, just like hatava means eating. Eating, what does it mean eating? You swear you're going to eat something that's good for your body. That's not bad for your body. because yes, because if you're going to eat something, let's say that gives you an upset stomach, right? So that's not called doing good. So you're probably eating something that you enjoy, right? So also hara'ah means that you're not going to eat. What does it mean? I swear I'm not going to eat something that's bad for me. I swear I'm not going to eat something that's bad for me, which is going to cause me an upset stomach. So if that's the case, so then hara'ah is the same thing as a tava. And so then why does the Torah write hara'ah? And same thing, atava la'ara. Just like hara'ah, you swear I'm not going to eat. What do you mean? You're swearing I'm not going to eat something that's bad for me. So I'm only going to eat something because I swear, because you didn't swear that I'm not going to eat something bad for you because that's good for you. So what you basically said, you basically said, you swear you're not going to eat something that's good for your body, right? So also a tava means that you swear you're going to eat something that's bad for your body, that the shvuah is going to cause something bad for you. So then the hatava is the ra, and the ra is hatava. So your logic is faulty. So bottom line is, where we're holding right now is, how do you know that the lahara or lahativ is referring to what? Is referring to optional items, but not referring to also a dvar mitzvah. So what the Gemara is going to say is, look at this word, oi. This word oi is extra because what did we use oi to you, Marbe? Since you use oi to say that it can do good to somebody, so that's what oi was marba, that I can make a shvua that I'm going to give somebody a gift. Shma mina b'dvar reshus ksive, because then must be talking about that we're talking about optional items. Because if the pasuk is talking about um, uh, um, mitzvah items, so and a hora means you can not do a mitzvah, and lahativ means to do a mitzvah. So then I don't need the oi. Since the shvua hara means I can do bad to somebody, I can do an avera by hitting somebody. Because if you're telling me hara means to do bad, even if it's the Torah doesn't allow you to do it, but you can make an oath. Certainly, you can make a shvua that it's in violation and that you're going to do good to somebody. You're going to give him tzedakah, so you're going to give him a gift. So since it wouldn't make sense, it's talking about a mitzvah, it must be talking about reshus, optional items. Oh, if it's only talking about optional items, but you can't make it a shvuah on a mitzvah, so I can't say or against the mitzvah because it's not an effective shvuah. So then I need the oy to be marba, a gift for somebody else, because since I cannot take a shvuah that I swear I'm going to hit somebody, because that's an avera, and the shvuah doesn't take effect because shvuah is only on an optional item. So since you can't do in the reverse, I might think you can't make a shvuah to give somebody a gift. So kamash malam, oi gives that oi that you could make a shvuah to give somebody a gift, although you can't do the reverse. You can't make a shvuah that you're going to hit somebody. So that was the Gemara's logic and understanding and proof that the pasuk lahara lehetiv doesn't refer to a mitzvah. If you make a mitzvah in the positive or in the negative, you swear that you're going to eat, you're not going to sit in the sukkah, you're not going to put on tefillin, or you swear you are going to put on tefillin and not, or going to sit in the sukkah, the mitzvahs don't take effect because that's not included in the pasuk of lahara lehetiv, and it's only because we have the extra oy. So now the Gemara says, right. So mitzvah isach oil rabba satov shemami no devar shut. The isach that devar mitzvah hasha rois chem is rabba atov is chem avaya. Now the Gemara asks the question. It's only because the oy, the extra oy, is extra. That's why Amarba that taught me that the pasuk is not talking about a devar mitzvah. But you need the oy to teach you that you're allowed to make a shavua to do good for somebody. Says the Gemara, "V'hai oy miboyle lechale." I need oy to tell you that you don't make that an oath doesn't mean that you have to do both. Lahora ulahated. Oy is simple. The oy is not extra. You make a shvua lahora to do bad or to do good. I need that oy because I would think that you have to make, in order to violate oaths, you have to make a shvua that includes both bad and good. L'chalek letzarach kra. Says the Gemara, I mean, the oy is not necessary because it's obvious it's an or type of shvua that you wouldn't need both. What makes it so obvious? Honey, that makes sense according to Rabbi Yonason that it's obvious. According to Rabbi Yoshia, I need an extra riboy. My first default is that it's you have to do both. The Tanya we learned to the Brisa. Ish ashikalas avaves imay. The Torah tells you if you curse your father and mother, then you chayev skila. Ainly ela avivima. I would think that you have to curse both. Let's say you do one parent without the other. How do I know that there's a chayev skila? How do I know you're liable for skila? Now, the default is that it's together. It includes both. So Rabbi Yashia says, Talmud loima of the ima kilo. The Torah ends off of the ima kilo, of kilo ima kilo. The Torah put first in the pasuk yikalel as ovis, so the word kilel, the word cursing, is next to your father, and then in the end of the pasuk it says of ima kilel. The word kilel is next to your mother. So the Torah set up the pasuk this way, so you should learn that the iser, the violation, is whether you curse your father separately or your mother separately. The Rabbi Yashia. That's how Rabbi Yashia knows that it doesn't mean that you have to do both. Because of that, therefore, Rabbi Yashia has an extra wording of the pasuk to teach you that not to go with the default that it means you have to do both together. So according to Rabbi Yashia, my default, if it would say lahara villa hativ, right? I would think that you have to make a shvuah for both. That's why I need oy to tell you that an oath can be either or. So oy is not extra, according to Rabbi Yoshia. If the Torah would write it means separate. You don't. The default is not that you have to do it together. It means either or. Ad if the Torah says yachdav, you have to do it together, then you need both. So the default is that it's separate. So according to Rabbi Yonasan, so it makes perfect sense. The oy is extra because if the Torah did not write yachtav, so the default is that it's separate. So villa hativ, if we say lahara villa hativ, I know it means two separate shvuas, lahara or lahativ. But according to Rabbi Yashia wouldn't. The default is that it's together. Lahara villa hativ means you have to do both. So oy tells you that it's either or. So oy is not extra. According to oy is not extra. We're back to the first square one. How do you know, according to Rabbi Yashia, that the pasuk is not referring to a mitzvah? Maybe the pasuk is referring to a lahara that you're not going to do a mitzvah. Lahativ means you will do a mitzvah. Answers the Gemara, even if you want to say that we go according to Rabbi Yoshia, the pasuk is not talking about a mitzvah. The Sovalak Rabbi Kiva, the Dorish Ribu Miyat. So Rabbi Kiva learns this pasuk as really it's an all-inclusive shvuah. He has this way of darshaning. If you take that separately, that's a riboy. That tells you that you include everything, any type of shvuah. And then the Torah says lahara leitiv, only these type of shvuahs, and l'chal shivati b'shvuah, any type of shvuah. So he larshens it riboy riboy, you marbe everything. So you mamayit only the most shvuah can take effect on 99%, but so you exclude just something minimal. So i'amer bishval devar kshuv ksiv. So if you want to say that pasuk lahara lehetiv is devar shus, my devar mitzvah, then you can say lahara lehetiv is only optional items, and we're going to exclude that shvuah doesn't take effect when it comes to a mitzvah. Ela yamer devar mitzvah ksiv. If you say that lahara lehetiv includes a devar mitzvah, so mamai, what are you going to exclude? You have to exclude something, because then why would the Torah write lahara lehetiv? So it must be that it's excluding lahara lehetiv. Only optional items could shvuah take effect, not unoptional items. They told the Rabbanan said that just like a shvuah cannot take effect if you refrain from doing a mitzvah to be mevatel a mitzvah, they told Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira that certainly it can't affect when you're mekayim a mitzvah. It should also not take effect when you swear that you're going to keep a mitzvah. You have to be able to go back, reverse, negative and positive. And since we established you can't swear that I'm not going to do a mitzvah because you already have a shavua that you're going to sit in a sukkah and eat and put on tefillin. So since you can't swear to refrain from doing a mitzvah, you can't swear also that you're going to do a mitzvah because ein shvuah chala shvuah. So that's what the Gemara says. Rabbanim shapi kamelei Rabbi Yehuda B'Seir. They said he answered Rabbi Yehuda B'Seir quite correctly. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir Amalach, Rabbi Yehuda Meseir says, Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir said in our Mishnah that a person could swear that he's going to eat matzah. He could swear that he's going to put on tefillin. It's an effective oath because he's going to say like this: Hata atavas acher. We already said that you can make a shvuah that you're going to do good for somebody. You're going to give somebody a gift. Lav afagav leis b'achlal haros acher. We see you can't make a shvuah in the opposite direction. That you swear I'm going to do bad to somebody, I'm going to hit him. You can't make a shvuah like that. V'Rabbi Rachmanan, the Torah said that it teaches you that you could make a shvuah that you're going to do good for somebody else. Achaname became mitzvah, the same thing by keeping a mitzvah. Afagav the lesson b'bittul mitzvah, Rabbi Rachmanan. Even though you can't make a shvuah that you're going to refrain from doing a mitzvah, but still I can make a mitzvah. I can make a shvuah that I'm going to put on tefillin. So it doesn't have to always fit into the rule that you have to be able to go positive and negative. We see that when it comes to doing good to somebody else, the Torah was marba from Oy, that even though it doesn't go in the reverse, the shvuah is effective. Rabbanan, how do Rabbanan answer that? Hasam isa b'lay eted, hacham isa b'lay yikayim. There, it's possible to make a shvuah, a neutral shvuah, that I'm not going to give him the gift. I can make a shvuah, I'm not giving him a gift. So, but hacha, is it possible to make a shvuah below kaim? I'm not going to put on tefillin. So it's worse by a mitzvah. So therefore, by a mitzvah, since you can't make a shvuah, I'm not going to keep the mitzvah. I'm not. So therefore, you cannot make a shvuah that you will keep the mitzvah. You will put on tefillin. Since you can't make a shvuah, I'm not going to put on tefillin. When it comes to hatavas acherim, to do good, since I could swear I'm not going to give him a gift. I'm not doing bad, but I'm not going to give him a gift, so I can make a shvuah that I will give him a gift. Okay, that ends that Mishnah. Mishnah continues, shvuah. Now, we learned this concept that once you have a shvuah on you, you can't take another shvuah. If I make a shvuah on an item, once I have an effective shvuah, I can't make a second shvuah to take effect on a previous shvuah. There's only one shvuah per item. So if a person says shvuah shlo yechel kikazu, a person says, I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread, or shluach lo yechlena. Now notice it changes the word. I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread. Shvuah shlo yechlena. I swear I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread. So once he said I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread, va'achal, and he ate it, he's only liable for one oath because there's only one oath over here because the other two oaths did not take effect because you already have an oath. Zuhi shvius biti. This is the shvuas that the Torah talks about. This sums up the end of the discussion that we mentioned throughout this parak. Shechayavin al zadonim malchus. If you violate your oath on purpose, you get malchus. If you do it by accident, carbon oil of yard, you have to bring the carbon oil of yard, which is a carbon that varies based on your financial affordability. That's called the carbon oil of yard. What is a shvuah shav? An in vain shvuah. There, chayavin ashadonim malchus, you get malchus. Vashagase pata and b'shaygig, there's no carbon. Shvuah shav, an in vain shvuah, which we'll see in the next Mishnah. But let's say you swear a man is a woman, so that's a shvuah shav. So then yichayev azadonim malchus vashagase pata. Okay, now the Gemara is, but the Shavuot Shav we're going to explain on Daf Chav Tes. But now the Mishnah we're going to discuss this Mishnah. Lama li lemisdish shvuah shloi oichel shvuah shloi echleno. Why does it change the language? Shvuah shloi oichel, and then it says shvuah shloi echlena. Echlena seems to be different than the word oichlena. So the answer is the word oichel means you swear you're not going to eat a kazayas. Oichlena means I'm not going to eat the entire loaf. So Halkamashmalon, so the Gemara answers that's exactly what the Mishnah is teaching you. The reason is because you said I'm not going to eat a kazayas. And then you said I'm not going to eat the whole loaf of bread. You only chayev one shvuah because the first shvuah is the more strict shvuah that you're not going to eat a kazayas. Aval Oma Shaloi Echlena, if you said I'm not going to eat the entire loaf, and so therefore the first shvuah was taking effect on the entire loaf. Then you said, I swear I'm not going to eat even a kazayas. So then, mechayev tarti, you're going to be mechayev two shvuas if you happen to eat the whole loaf. The first time you are in violation when you eat a kazayas. When you finish the loaf, you did the violation oichleno. Kida Rava, like Rava explained. Rava explained, a person says, I swear I'm not going to eat this kikar. So he said the word oichel, right? He said the word oichel. So then he means I'm not going to eat a kazayas. But then he says shaloi echlena. If he says I'm not going to eat echlena, I'm not going to eat the whole thing. And he's not in violation until he eats the whole bread. So there's a big difference between the oichel and echlena. And that will affect the order if you make a shvua. If you make it this way, the way it's written in the Mishnah, shloi oichel, shloi echlena, so first you swore on the kazayas, then you swore on the whole loaf, so then you only chayev only one. But if you go in the reverse, then you chayev two. So the Mishnah says, Shvua shloi oichel, echlena, v'achlena chayev alachas. Mishnah says, you said shvua shloi oichel, shvua shloi echlena, shvua shloi echlena. If the whole point is to teach you that you're chayev, that once a shvua is on an item, on a loaf, you can't make another shvua. So the question is, the question is, why did the Mishnah say you did three shvuas? The commission could say you did only two shvuas. And says the Gemara, too lomely, why do you need to tell me that you did three times? There's no chiyuv, there's no violation over here, but hashvu ika, but the shvua is not lost. It doesn't mean that it's null and void. The mishkachas ravcha, if it finds its place, if it finds space, chayla, then it takes effects. The Michael, because what do you mean it finds space? You swore I'm not going to eat, and then you swore again I'm not going to eat. The Kedarava, Rava said, Shi'im nishala rishoina, if you ask the shaila on the rishoina, you will matter your shvua, the first shvua, then also lashnia tachta, then the second one takes its place, because what prevented the second one from falling onto the loaf of bread? Because you have a previous shvua on that. But if you take it away, then the second shvua could fall, and that will, that second shvua will fall in place. And if you take away the second shvua, that's the chiddush of the Mishnah, the third shvua will fall in place. That's why it says, gives you three cases where three times he said shvua shlo eichel, shvua shlo echlena, shvua shlo echlena. Because if you take away one and then you take away two, the third one will fall. So I have this is exactly what a Mishnah says in Masechta Nazir. Nishanada Beis Naziris, a person made two Naziris, so he counted 30 days, and then he was mafresh a carbon to complete and celebrate his completion of the Naziris. Then he had a Shaila, and he was mata the first Naziris, so then he doesn't have to recount, because he has now an obligation to do the second Naziris, so therefore, also, it's as if the first counting went towards the second counting, and the carbon of the first one goes to the second one, because the first one was non-existence, because you were mater the first nazir. So we see that when you take something away, the one in the air can fall. So that's the same idea by shvuah. Once you take away the first shvuah, the second one falls. You take away the second one, the third one falls. So that's a proof from this Mishnah of this idea. So the Gemara says, so Rava's novelty already is written in the Mishnah. So the Gemara says not true. Hachi compare that Mishnah. Hasun by Naziris mi isa the chimal rishayim by had the mimla shniya b'loy sheila. The second one is always there. Because if you didn't matter the first Naziris, you'll always have to keep the second Naziris, because that's what you said. I swear I'm going to keep two Nazirises. First one, and then you swore again. So when you finish the first one, you have to keep the second one. So the second one never disappeared. Hacha, if Hacha over here, if you didn't matter the first one, the second one never takes effect. Hacha shniya mi'isa klal, is it guaranteed to take effect? It's not guaranteed. So it could be when you said the second shvuah, after you said shvuah shlo eichel, and you said shvuah shlo eichlena, the shvuah shlo eichlena disappears, because it's not guaranteed to come. So I would think that even if you will matter the first shvuah, there's no second shvuah. That's what Rava teaches you. No, it's still there in the ether, and so therefore, if you were matter the first shvuah, then the second shvuah would come, and this was the chiddush of Rava the Amora. Okay, we'll stop here and continue tomorrow.